Hello, dear Starshines. Christina here with Rise of the Multidimensional Human and Lightbody Academy. Welcome to today's lunchtime chats. Oh, look at that. There's an echo. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina. I am the acceleration expert, and we are here to talk about topics, issues, and other things that are impactful for our lives as healers, as multidimensional beings, as way showers. And everything that we talk about here are things that are important for the here and now, expression of our journey to sovereignty as a multidimensional being. And boy, do we have some things to talk about today. It's big stuff going down in the collective, and there's a lot of despair and hopelessness happening. And I want to talk about all these different pieces. I also want to make sure to touch on some things about some of the COVID vaccine fear-mongering, because there's some very important things to make sure you keep in mind on in relationship to that idea, that movement. But let me go ahead and announce the topics for today. All right, so drama juicing, it's an addiction. I've talked about this before, but I definitely need to tap on it again because there's some other angles here that I want to touch on. And then the other part of that is the powers that be know that this is an addiction, and they know exactly how to use it against you. So we're going to be talking about how to make yourself less permeable to those sorts of manipulations. And then we'll be talking about the 3 lies that we tell ourselves that keep us plugged in. What keeps us plugged in to toxic media, toxic social media, stuff like this, okay? Toxic narratives. And then tips on how to be in the world, but not of it. So welcome everybody. I'm so glad to be here with you. Go ahead and say hi if you're joining me on the Rise of the Multidimensional Facebook group or on our YouTube channel, Lightbody Academy. I'd love to hear from you. And I'll go ahead and pause and check in because a few of you, my dear Starshines, are saying hello. Hello, darling Hodai and Stacy, Facebook user. All right, so if you're new to watching us on Rise, you have to click on that link that's in the stream to allow me to see your name. But hi, how you doing? So glad you're here. Hello from Virginia. That's Nancy. Okay. And Joanne, hello, darling. And Polly, hello. Okay, so the usual suspects are here. So glad to have my sisters. Please let us know how you're feeling. Let me know. The recent shenanigans going down. What's going on with you? I'd like to hear, because I would like to also, speak directly to some things that are happening maybe for you personally. Hello, dear Tasha. Welcome. All righty. So let's just chill for a second, settle in, grab your tea, grab your coffee or your water, whatever it is that you're nourishing and hydrating yourself with today. I'm just going to pour some tea, chill out for a minute while people join in. And I want to tell you guys about this really great deal. Hopefully my picture's not going to go all blurry. Let me know if it doesn't refocus. Hello. Okay, so for those who are just joining in, I post a question to everybody. Say hi, let me know you're here, but then also let me know how you're feeling. What's going on with you in light of all this crazy stuff? All right, it's still blurry. Okay, I'm going to exit and come back in, and it's gonna take me like maybe 10 seconds to do that. So I'll put down my tea so I can navigate here. All right, I'll be back in a minute, guys. All right, that better? Okay, let's hope we stay in focus here. All right. Hello, dear Laurel and Soul Schooling. Hi. Dear Sister Nancy says that she's lighter than earlier, but earlier a lot of despair. Yes. Yeah, she's definitely not alone in that. Hello, Tasha. Message. All right, so she let me know. Thank you, Tasha, for letting me know it's blurry. Polly's saying it was all planned. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm feeling like it was too. Hello, dear Facebook user. Just so you know, I can't see your name yet. If you click on that little link about me streaming from StreamYard above the actual live stream, you'll be able to give StreamYard permission for me to see your name. All right. And Soul Schooling says, really trying to stay grounded and breathe, breathe, breathe. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Hodai says she's trying to watch it from a higher, broader perspective, staying unplugged from mainstream media. Yeah, well, even the alternate media is pretty chaotic, crazy too. And dear sister Tasha, I was feeling despair and anger yesterday. Had to unplug. Good for you, Tasha. Good for you. I posted a thing yesterday, and that little, when you type things on your wall, and then there's like these colors that you can put on the back, and there's like ones that are piles of shit. I'm like, unplug. You're getting manipulated. Blah 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 blah. And there's a few people that totally disagreed, and I couldn't help but feel like unplugging is a matter of self-respect. When you are feeling this way, unplugging is a matter of respecting your own wellness and your own well-being. That's more important than anything else. How you be is so more important than being tuned into the chaotic, manipulated, constructed media. Yes, dear Nancy says, yes, she's agreeing with the sense of it all being planned too. Okay, yeah, so there's Soul Schooling is also echoing this. I'm in Georgia. Okay, my feed was chaos. Wow, yeah. Stacy says, definitely manipulated by the media. Yeah, and there's some other components going on here besides the human components, okay? So I'm also going to try to touch on that if I can while we go through this. Okay, Laurel's touching on the fact that the alternative media was also very toxic and chaotic as well. What I say is right. As much as I watch our collective, I have to be really discerning and acknowledge that they are trying to figure it all out as well. So I may not agree. Yeah. What I find interesting is that the people who really feel like this is that really are buying into the political game and all this, it's like they all gravitate towards the media that they agree with. So if you are vibing with the deep state narrative or the Trump is the savior narrative for whatever reason, you're going to gravitate towards that kind of information. And if you gravitate towards the the mainstream idea that's pushed by mainstream media, you're going to gravitate in that direction. And it's interesting because there's no middle ground. That middle ground is getting smaller. So I made a comment yesterday somewhere about, why use these times to exacerbate separation and divide amongst the people? Why not use these times to rise to your humanity and build bridges of understanding? Yeah. This is really how the star seeds are feeling it. We're feeling called to come to a much higher place with things. And there's a fine line there. So there's coming to a much higher place. And then if you're not really plugged into the here and now, you can easily be starting to, go to the Pollyanna kind of angle. And that's a fine line right there. We really have to be sharp and clear within ourselves and how we are feeling and really what's happening here. Okay. It's so important to know what's happening right here, because this is the compass that you have to discern the truth among the lies and the chaos. And boy, you guys, yeah, you get it. It's all so chaotic. So if this compass, if you're not in touch with this compass, then it's going to really draw you out into different reaction loops. And what happens, psychologically, when we go into reaction mode, we are now more prone to suggestion. We're more prone to listen and do what we're told when we're in reaction mode. So this is a really important thing to understand about your own human behavior. When you're triggered or you feel fearful or you're angry or something like this, then you're more susceptible to outside suggestions, as in narratives and understandings that are outside of where your truth compass is. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to read off a couple more things and then we'll get going. All right. Laurel says, haha, I used to be Pollyanna. Yes, yes, yes. Me too. I still have rose-colored glasses when it comes to certain people, when it comes to people, because when people are really wounded, it's like there's some part of me that just really wants to see the best in them. So they can have the experience of somebody seeing the best in them. You know what I mean? So, of course, a fine line. All right, dear Hodai says, right, oh, no, I read that one. Or let me keep scrolling down. Joanne says, yes, we tend to like to hear what we believe, got to stay open, stretch, and see the experience in the larger, deeper picture. They're all bringing up 9/11 again to a reason. I am Polly, but not Pollyanna. Yes. It's interesting because I was thinking about 9/11 last night when I was seeing that going down, and I remembered what I did when I saw that happening. My kids were young, and and I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, and we watched NPR. It's like they interrupted Dora the Explorer to live cast the burning of the first towers, like right, the first plane just hit. And I remember looking at that, and it's like I knew that it was a total game download. And this is before I really understood deep state stuff. You know what I mean? It was before I really understood, all the, the other games going on an interdimensional level. So what I did, I actually shut the TV off. I covered it up with a blanket, and the kids and I had a photo shoot, and we played, and we just had a good old time while all that was going on. Because I really did not care, because I knew whatever that was going to get told to me was a lie, was a manipulation, and I, there's something. My compass was so strong back. I mean, it was even, there, it was strong. I just knew that nope, this is not the reality that I'm going to tune into right now, and that's where I was visiting last night with all this. It's like, okay, I see this going on, and it is very juicy. It's juicy. Man, is it juicy in the drama, right? But this is where we use our discernment on what's right for us, what's appropriate for us, what's respectful for our being right now, because it was purposely used to trigger and manipulate. You see what I'm saying? All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to try to go through the dimensions pretty quickly this time, because there's lots of other things I want to talk about, and I only have so much time to dive in. Okay, darlings. So thank you so much for being here. By the way, guys, everybody here, you guys are so brave, and I know you're troopers, and you guys really are dedicated to your path and your purpose, and that's really saying something. That's really saying something, because a lot of people, they're lost. They're lost within themselves. They're lost within society. And because of that, they're like children. They're very easily manipulated. And you guys are at the place that you are now because you stuck true to the unpopular truth inside of you. And that takes a lot. That takes a strong character. So thank you so much for being here and doing that and being that way. And I'm saying that as a star being to other star beings inside of a biosuit. Okay. All right. Our intention. Okay. Our intention for being so. This is our agreement to be here with the Pachamama. Our agreement to be here with the Pachamama is to step into the ocean of her dream, to step into her realms of reality, and dream our dream within her dream. Okay. Everything that we see here, no matter how solid, no matter how light, or no matter how dark, it was dreamt into being with our consciousness. Okay, it was dreamt into being before it can actually become a substance within the 3D experience. So this lens right here is the foundation fabric of what we are dreaming into being. Okay, so we're in these nesting dolls within nesting dolls within nesting dolls that create our reality. And we've said yes to step into the Pachamama nesting doll and start weaving our own creations within her. Okay, so this is the dream within the dream. And this lens is located in the perineum. So if you'd like, you can go ahead and start stimulating that now. When you stimulate the perineum, you can do it by like Kegels, you can do it by intention, you can do it by breathing in light into the root, breathing breath right through the root. You can do all these sorts of things. There's no right or wrong way. But just when you do it, notice what the feeling is inside as it activates and becomes stronger. Okay. And those of you who've been working with me for a while and you do this on a regular basis with me, you know that there's a way to just open a door, so to speak, to the songs of the mother within this lens. So when you open the doorway to the songs of the mother, the great Pachamama, the also universal mother as well, when you open that lens, your system is getting flooded with love songs. Your awareness is getting inundated with the love songs of the mother. Okay. And as we get up the ladder of the dimensions, you'll understand why I'm saying songs. The songs is an important aspect here. It's not just, it is love, but when you put it in the context of vibration, rhythm, frequency, you see what I mean? It's a rich multi-dimensional data set. It's not just love. It's love songs. It's love in action. Okay? The lens after that is the Telerik Realm, the 2D. The Telerik Realm are atoms, molecules, it's cells coming together to create tissues, tissues coming together to create organs, organs coming together to create systems, so on and so forth. Our bodies, just looking at the telluric aspects of our biosuits, it's system within system within system within system. And all of these systems are deeply interwoven and integrated with each other. Okay. So for example, you can't take out your endocrine system only and not affect any other functions of the body. You can't shut down just one organ, right? And affect only that organ. It's going to affect all the systems of your body. It's going to affect the fluids of the body, the blood of the body, the fascia of the body. It's going to affect the mental state, the emotional state, the spiritual state of the body. Okay. So when you have a sluggish liver, that sluggish that sluggish liver impacts all the other systems that it's connected to. Okay. So the Telerik Realm, these systems within systems that are interwoven, that interweaving is a deep, deep, deep interconnectedness reality. Okay, that's our biosuit. But the same thing is so with the air that's around us. It's with the Pachamamas, underworlds, everything that's underneath the crust of the earth, the Telerik Realm. So you have nature devas, you have crystal cities, you have underworlds, you have, all sorts of realities that are under the crust of the earth in the Telerik Realm. All of this is accessible by communicating with those 2D aspects and seeing, connecting through that 2D lens. And the lens that we use to communicate with the Telerik Realm, because our soul being is a master of this body, okay, and knows how to run this vehicle. That the lens, the language of the Telerik Realm is pure feeling, okay, not emotion, feeling. And that is your bridge to communicating, to understanding, getting feedback from the Telerik Realm and with the Telerik Realm. So people who, there's people who've created miraculous healing experiences in their body by focusing and feeling, having a conversation, listening, and responding. And by feeding the aspects that are sick, that are sad, or whatever, and giving it love, acknowledgement, okay, then that part of the body gradually maybe slowly, maybe quickly, but gradually returns to wellness. Okay, so the Telerik realm is the vehicle of our own healing when we need it. There's so many dynamics, and I'm spending some more time with this because a lot of people feel like, the underworlds it's like dense. It's, because it's a lot denser. It's a much slower wavelength, but they feel it like as heavy, as dense, and that often translates in the understanding as negative, and that is not the reality of it at all. It's beautiful. It's miraculous. It's fluid. Okay. It's just that it's just in a different frequency than some of these other aspects that maybe feel, that we feel a little bit more freedom in. We're trained to look at our bodies as an encapsulation that traps us. We're trained to experience it like that. We're trained in our belief systems and so on that life is suffering because of this density of our bodies. And those are all lies meant to give us that trapped feeling, meant to limit our beliefs of the potentials of being in a biosuit. Okay. But in my world travels, I've come across masters that defy all of that. Okay. They defy all of those ideas that anything about this biosuit is limiting. There's immortals that they're in a biosuit that does not die. And even if the biosuit were to die, if they wanted to, they can still stay here and walk into another body. You know what I mean? So there's all sorts of things going on that's possible here that a lot of humanity is turned off to because of this conditioning and these belief systems. And it's insipidous. It's like it's everywhere. It's in mystery schools. It's in monastic practices. It's in religious practices. The trainings and the methodologies of waking up a God man within humanity have been incepted and infiltrated for many, many thousands of years. So the Telerik realm is our ally. It's the vehicle that gives us this 3D experience. And that's the next layer, the 3D experience. Now, these two lenses are very closely interwoven. Very closely interwoven. The 3D experience is the experience of space. So I'm looking at these plants over here. They feel like they're separate from me. They feel like they're separate from me because the 3D lens, my eyes, are telling me that. Okay. But the fact of the matter is the oxygen that was in my body a moment ago could be in this plant, in which case we have a very close connection in that. There's other molecules within this plant that I share as well, and we resonate. Those similar molecules within this plant resonates with the molecules within me. And now once I visit that vibration, we become one. Okay. So this 3D is meant to give us space so we can experience separation, things that are separate from us, so we can do and create. It's all about us creating. That's why this space is here. And then we have our 4D, and our 4D is the ocean of energy that we're all walking through, living through, breathing in. It's thoughts, emotions, belief systems, it's invisible constructs, it's collective belief systems, as in on a planetary or even solar ring level. Okay, so there's macro and micro aspects to all of this, and that those 4D constructs, they're invisible, but they have a huge impact on our experience. Thoughts and feelings, those are energies that travel. Okay, and we are all constantly walking through an ocean of thoughts and feelings. And now in the modern era, this ocean of thoughts and feelings and beliefs and all the stuff that we're walking through there's been an added element of technical technical energy. Okay. So we have our Wi-Fi, we have our radio waves, we have satellite waves, we have our cell phones, we have all these technologies that are emitting electromagnetic frequencies, and that has joined the 4D field and impacting us. And this is really important because there's a lot of people that have acute sensitivity to EMF. Now, There's even more people who are getting sick from EMF, but I will save that for later in another conversation. All right, so let me, so that's the 4D. And then we have, let me pause for the lenses here. These two lenses are closely woven together. These are in your lower body. If you're a woman, it's like around your womb space, sacral area. And if you're a man, it's the lower abdomen, sacral area. For the 4D, how we perceive and engage, the lens that we use to perceive and engage that is within our solar plexus. Now, those of you who've studied different kinds of shamanism, okay, teachings like this, there's this luminous energy field teachings and the strands, all these gazillions of light filament strands of your energy field all come in and weave right into your solar plexus. So this is a major access point to the collective. Next, the field. After that is the 5D field. The 5D field is the perception of the soul's journey, and it's also the Akasha. Okay, and there's lots to be said about this. The eyes to access that level of consciousness and information is in the heart, the physical beating heart space. Okay. So you go into your heart space to access Akashic records. You go into your heart space to access infinity. Okay, you go into your heart space to access timelessness. And once you go into that lens, once you go into those kinds of data sets, you're only going to be able to connect with the data sets in those lenses if you can let go of the ideas of who you think you are. As in, when you look in the mirror and you see your face and you have a story of like what you would say about that face, right? Those stories of who you think you are will blind you, literally blind you to information accessible to you, okay? But you won't be able to see it, touch it, have it because of these blinders of who you think you are. So the more you can let go of the who you think you are, the clearer and the more pristine those data sets are for you. You can simply close your eyes, tune in, and get a response. Okay. So the 5D lens is very important for us right now. There's a lot of ascension narrative that talks about people ascending to 5D. And this is true. But what this really means is that people are ascending beyond the belief systems and the ideas of who they think they are. And they're allowing their infinite nature, the data sets, the reality of their infinite nature, inform their here and now reality. A lot of people don't get past this, okay? And therefore they're terrified of death. They have a very unhealthy relationship to death and dying. They're easily controlled by fear, okay? These are all indicative of infinite beings in a biosuit that are cut off from their timelessness. And then we have our light body, which is the light geometry that creates our very being. It's the light geometry that unfolds our soul's journey through the Milky Way, okay, and beyond. So the light geometry is accessible by us by simply tuning into it. Now, the freer you are here, the more soul healing you've done here, the way easier it is to access this. Okay. But if there's a lot of drama in the soul's journey, then it's not so easy to access this because there's still blind spots happening because of things happening here. So constructs that are inside our Akasha inform us in the here and now reality. So even though it's perceived, the construct is perceived to have happened tens of thousands of years ago, and it's still writing, it's still informing our experience in the here and now. But as soon as you go back and release that construct, release the quantum of you that's still entangled with that, then all that more quantum comes back to you and you become liberated from the influence of that construct. Okay. So a lot of those constructs, because this is a manipulated reality, a lot of those constructs in our Akashic records are purposely implanted blind spots to this level of our being and beyond. Okay. So healing on a light body level is profound. You can erase entire timelines of existence by changing your geometry. All right. And then the precursor to the light geometry is the sound, the soul song, the tone of your essence. The tone of your essence comes through the dimension, the layers of density. And as that tone becomes denser, 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 that creates the light body. Okay. And that light body informs the soul's journeys. Okay. The soul journeys informs the kinds of timelines you're going to be on. The timelines you're going to be on informs the actual here and now 3D reality experience. Okay. So this essence piece is really profound to work with if you can get there with your awareness. The thing is that when you get there with your awareness, if you are perceiving anything as good, as bad, as right, as wrong, as something being done to you, or anything like that, you're not going to be able to engage this on an impeccable, pure level. Okay. As soon as you are tuning into this and you're seeing things in the form of something doing something to you like that, you're actually coming into this level or this level with that data set. Okay. And then you won't get as far. But it is possible to tune in to your essence. Tune into that essence. Tune into the original intention of separating from source. And when you do that, it's profound. It's very liberating. And your entire body responds to that type of realization and connection with self. And then, of course, before essence is the 8D, which is the all that is consciousness, the I am consciousness. A lot of people might call this God consciousness, the all that is, the isness. And this isness is a fabric of our being. There's nothing that doesn't have it. It's absolutely unconditional. So it doesn't matter what spiritual practice you do, what religious practice you do, if you're atheist, it doesn't matter anything. This is a lens that is informed. This is a lens that you can not only make contact with, but it's a nesting doll that is informing your here and now reality. It does not require a human belief system for it to be so. Okay? It's absolutely unconditional. And the precursor to that is the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Okay? So we would call this maybe the galactic mind. And once you get to the galactic mind, you become liberated on so many levels. So a lot of these games that are going on here, it's difficult to be engaged in the strife and hold your awareness of what this is at the same time. It takes practice, but it can be done. Ultimately, what it is that it's not an either or kind of thing. All of these lenses exist within the biosuit. All of these lenses come together to create your here and now reality, which means in the here and now, you can be perceiving and receiving data sets from all of these levels of your existence. Okay. All right, let me pause for a moment and check in with what you guys got going on. Checking in. All right, thank you. Awesome. Okay, thank you. Thank you guys. Oh, you guys are so sweet. I'm getting a lot of lovely comments here of thank you and gratitude. Awesome. Hello, guys. Hello, Julie. Glad to have you here. All right, so I'm going to pause for a second and take a sip of my tea. All right. So let's take this up let's take this to the frame up of what's happening in the here and now. Okay. So multiple timelines actually is not in the Akasha. Multiple timelines is here in the 4D. And it's because time on this level is linear. Time on this level is spiral or circular. Okay. So these two the ways that time moves work together. But when we here on this planet, we have a lot of artificial time constructs put onto our experience. Okay. And those time constructs keep us in that frame up of beginning, middle, end. The past is the past, the future is the future, stuff like this. Most humans are living in the future. They're not even paying attention to the here and now. They're talking, their mind and their thoughts are all about what's coming, preparing for what is about to happen, not being with what is happening. Okay. So the 4D with all these artificial constructs is really distorted for us. And we're going to shift that, of course, as we move further into the new paradigm. But there are beings that are holding on, absolutely, like with the death grip. They don't want to let go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead onto this one. Oh, by the way, what I'm going to say here is this. I want to give you guys the cue. If you don't already know this model, you can dive much deeper into this model. This was a body of work brought forward by a Cherokee record keeper by the name of Barbara Hancock. And she's retired, but she has loosely maintains a website called Hancock 2012. And on that website has all kinds of material in a shop with CDs and all this kind of stuff of doing this kind of activation at home. And she also encourages people, if this really resonates with you, she encourages people to actually facilitate these activations for others. Okay, so if this is something that interests you, I encourage you to visit her website and check that out. Now, I know this, from the beginning, from the Palladian Agenda, which was a book that she wrote, where she was channeling an aspect of her that was in a simultaneous existence in the Pleiades. And there was that book that activated me big time. And at the same time, I was in a major life transition, and I became pregnant and was really, really sick and couldn't work anymore because my morning sickness was so bad. So it was like there was this beautiful synchronicity with her coming out with this work and where I was. And I as soon as I came in contact with the frequency of what she was teaching, I was absolutely hooked. And then when I found out that she facilitated groups in person, I jumped on that. So what I did was I was in Northern Ohio at the time, and I would drive to Lilydale, New York every year in the summertime to participate in the 3-day activation ceremonies that she did. And these went on for a little bit over a decade. I participated for about a decade. And really, when she first was doing this, it took 3 days to activate these dimensions with people. The energy, the collective was so dense back then that people's interferences within their being would hit fast and hard, and people were passing out of their chairs, just by her talking about this information. And of course, she was tying it into the Mayan calendar and stuff like this, which is another branch of the work that she's done. But yeah, so this is what I'm presenting to you guys is a highly refined version of what she's what she was doing. And she didn't understand the dimensions at first. She channeled that aspect of herself and then realized that was really important and dived deeper. And it took her several years of working with groups of people around the world to decode, to unpack what these dimensions were. And she's so brilliant. She went and did all the research and used modern day scientific method and references and stuff like that to validate this model. So she wrote a book eventually called Alchemy of the Nine Dimensions, where she shared all of the research that she did, where she found different scientists and academics work. Their livelihood, or not their livelihood, but their main work and stuff was validating this model right here. Let me get this closer to me. Okay. All right. So this is another version of the model. And I'm drawing this so we can talk about, the media and the collective and stuff like this. Okay. So we have the core of the Pachamama, we have the Telerik Realm, and then we have 3D, right? And then we have this canopy here, the 4D, our thoughts, beliefs, all that stuff. Our thoughts and beliefs. And then from there, okay, we have these higher dimensional frequencies pouring into the planet, pouring into the planet. But everything that's pouring into the planet, to us personally, our energy field, but also even to our cells, the macro and micro, all of it gets filtered through this field, this 4D field. And there are many more dimensions than 9. There are many, many more dimensions than 9, but these are the ones that are hardwired into the biosuit. These are the ones that are necessary for a light being to master within a biosuit, to have to have sovereignty in this reality. Okay, this is this minimal. Okay, let me check in real quick. Hello, dear Nancy says, what about if you're not afraid of death, but instead wishing this particular incarnation could be done and move on to a greater reality that I know is the truth? Not suicidal, not just not feeding an overriding purpose or mission ahead of me. Right. So, oh, okay. And there's Facebook user that says Pleiadian experience. It's called the Pleiadian Agenda, the book. But yeah. So it came out in the 90s, the book, early 90s. Anyway, so I'm addressing this about what Nancy's saying. So right. So this is true, right? There's a feeling of not being afraid of death, but we also need to find our, when we're in touch with our yes of dreaming the world into being, we are here, to express that yes. And I think a lot of this disinterest in the reality and stuff like that is really not wanting to engage on the level that the forces of that be are trying to force you to engage on, right? The forces that be want you to engage in the conflict of the 4D belief systems and stuff. They want, that's the level that it wants you to engage in, because that is the level where the whole playing field is set up for you to lose. The whole playing field is set up as a disempowerment game, okay? The political system, the medical system, the education system, okay? Even if you are a success and you're a winner at those systems, you're still a slave. Okay, so the idea is that when you open up to these other levels, you understand that there's other ways to engage and influence this reality than the playing field that they have set for you. Okay, you are literally dreaming this world into being, which means if you cultivate a relationship with your dream time, now you are usurping, and the process of cultivating a relationship with your dream time is working at getting past this lens here so you can work directly with these levels of who you are, right? So this not letting go of who you think you are, it's a simple sentence, but it means a lot. There's a huge impact of what that means. And, it's okay to live your life wanting to be an artist and doing art. It's not that you're, wasting away or anything. You are expressing the truth of who you are onto a medium. And now that medium holds the frequency. It is incongruent with the frequency of a being in the truth of who they are. So everybody who experiences it, okay, is going to have a resonance. Just like earlier when I was talking about the molecules in this plant that I have within me as well, I can tune into those molecules and now I'm in instant resonance with this plant. Okay, exact same kind of thing. So what we are told, purpose, mission, all that, a lot, that too has been infiltrated. Okay, so I guess what I'm saying, Nancy, is that the lack of interest is more about stepping onto the set up playing field. You're here because your soul wants you to be here. I mean, your soul spirit has you here. And there's a big yes for life. And when we're feeling connected, when we're feeling seen, and when we're expressed, we want to be here. This is a juicy, juicy experience with passion and compassion and enthralled with living. But that's not the stage that's set by these constructed realities. Now, I've said this before, and I'll just reference it real quick. When you are stepping into those constructed realities and jumping through the hoops that you're told you need to jump through, get an education, get a degree, get a job, do this, do that, right? You are on the jet airliner. You are flying through time on a jet airliner, very limited capacity to navigate, to switch directions. Matter of fact, you can't. Once you're in that momentum, you're there. You can go up, you can go down, you can go sideways, but you're still going into an arc like this. This is humans riding fate. And when you are claiming your being on all these levels, you're traveling through time, not as that jet airliner, but more in the helicopter. You're steering with your feet and your hands, and all the parts of you are engaged. All the parts of you here are engaged in creating your here now moment. And you can go backwards, you go forward, you can go left, you can go right, you can go up, you can go down, you can go forward. I mean, there's so much more freedom. But that kind of freedom is very scary for people because they prefer the comfort zone of the constructed reality. Okay. And this is really important, especially in context of what's happening now. It's like the constructed reality is this game that we're watching unfold with the political scene, right? They want people triggered. And I noticed that some of the conversation has really turned towards racism, and they're using the race card. And they're using all these layers to get people triggered and angry. And because when we're triggered and angry, we're easily influenced. Okay. Mob mentality, right? Did you ever go to a talk and someone does a talk and maybe it was good, maybe it was not, and someone finishes the talk and no one's clapping. And then it just takes one person and instantly, without thinking, everybody will join. Right? Okay. So that's how this is going. They're using social reinforcement. They're using all the mechanisms they know of the programs, to trigger people into taking action in the planned direction that they want it to go. Okay. All right. Let me start getting into this. Let me start getting into the lies that we tell ourselves to keep us plugged in. What's the number one reason why you plug in? I would like to know your personal reason. Tell me your personal reason on why you plug into media. Toxic, mainstream, alternative, doesn't matter. What's the main reason? Now, I know for me, even though, Facebook is, kind of talk about constructed realities, right? Facebook does not have integrity. I use it because I am getting my need for connection satiated. Okay. Connecting with others, hearing about where other people's experiences are. I get to hear and connect with all of you guys. And, there is a community, a sense of community here for me. Do I like it? No. Do I get caught on it sometimes? Yes. But I really try to be mindful in keeping it limited because there's also this other thing happening with my frequency is that I cannot look at electronics for very long. I'll start to there's a light in these electronics and that light comes in and it's hitting your occipital lobe and it's creating a response, right? So there's a limitation. I have a definite, let's say, cap point when it comes to looking at electronics for me. But sorry, I digress. Let me get back to. So this drama is addictive. And it's, the light from Facebook stimulates endocrine system responses. The drama stimulates endocrine system responses. And when we're isolated and feeling disconnected, those endocrine system responses, the dopamine, the serotonin, all that stuff that gets released when we have these interactions, we get addicted to it because we get this strange physiological feel-good response to these kinds of engagements. Drama is addictive. It is, I can't even tell you, it's like heroin. If you are not happy inside of yourself, if you are not getting that dopamine, serotonin response and from other activities that you have going on in your life, say walking in nature or having a beautiful meditation experience or yoga experience or a workout, you don't have any other aspects in your life giving you that upliftment and even sometimes, especially with extreme exercise, that high, then you're even more hungry for the dopamine and serotonin stimulation. Okay. And it's addictive. Our youth are addicted to this. Okay. So, and they know it and they use it to every corner they can. So there's that kind of piece. Now let's go ahead and check into what you guys are saying. All right, check out the narratives. Okay, so Nancy tunes in because she wants to check out the narratives. And then Louise says, don't plug in, just do an occasional drive-by. Okay, cool. And okay, and Hodai says connect globally. All right. So okay, good. So this is what I hear you guys saying in there, it's there's a need to want to stay informed of what's happening. Yeah? Okay. So that I would say that's probably the number one reason why we tune in. Now, when I first decided to get rid of the television, it was many years ago, but I decided to get rid of the television. The kids were young, and people thought I was insane. They were like, "What's your problem? Why do you not have TV?" People would come over to my house. I would have like out of town visitors come to my house, and they would like have a meltdown because I didn't have a TV. But that was a mindful decision, because when you watch the news, this informing that we're seeking, when we watch the news, it's all negative, it's all triggering. And once I started to plug into that collective, as I was cleaning up my own personal connection with this 4D field and plugging into the collective and seeing a bigger scope of what's going on, I started to realize that the world isn't as negative as the news stories I was receiving. I actually realized that there are a lot of amazing miracles happening on this planet. Miracles happening for humanity every day, every single day. Does any of that get expressed on the news feed? Not really. Well, if you tune into my Facebook feed, then you're seeing it, because I post those things. Like there's these youth that create these youth that create all these initiatives to clean the oceans, to, there's all these really cool inventions to help the environment and stuff that I find those articles and post them just so people have some ray of light amongst the drama. So you're tuning in to be informed, okay? But do keep in mind the informing that you're getting is extremely lopsided, because 95% of it is exacerbating, making bigger, focusing on the negative of what's happening. Okay. So let that go. Yes, I'm getting there, Joanne, with solutions. I promise. So just let that go. If it's important for you to know, someone's going to talk to you about it. Someone's going to say, hey, did you hear about such and such, such and such? And then once that kind of thing happens, then you can go in with a very targeted lens of what it is you're looking for and the information you want to see. If it's interesting, it might not be interesting. You could say, I haven't heard that. And yeah, I don't really care. I got reamed last night because I told someone I didn't really care. And she turned it into me abdicating my social responsibility, And it's like, you know what? I don't need to step into the disempowerment playing field, because I know who I am here and here and here and here. And I am totally involved with creating my reality on these levels. Absolutely. Okay. That's the unfoldment of my life. I've done everything that I've set out to do. Everybody in my life told me it was impossible. It was not the right way to do it. Everything. Everybody, you know what I mean? But I didn't listen, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I'm here to break the norm. I'm here to break the belief systems, to pretty much break the system. And I don't need it by stepping onto that playing field that they've set up for me, because that's where I'm going to get hammered. Okay, this is where I'm going to get hammered. But here and here and here, I am equal with all of those forces that are contributing to these beings that are manipulating things here and here. Okay, so once you, like, say the reptilian narrative, right? Once you experience a reptilian on any of these levels, you will instantly recognize that they are not evil. You'll instantly recognize the interconnectedness between you and them. Here, it's a terrifying shit show, right? Absolutely. But here in the soul's journey, it's a whole nother story. You'll recognize that you're intertwined with this. And then if you go to these other levels, you'll recognize on how you agreed to intertwine with these beings. You've agreed to enter into these power over dynamics. And once you get over to here, you start to realize how you helped create these power over dynamics. Okay, so when you get past this lens, and this is the part of get past the who you think you are, your level of empowerment exponentially expands. Okay, you have a choice. Here you don't have a choice because it's not so informed. Here, the only choice that you have is to engage or not engage, to influence how you feel, take ownership how you feel, take ownership what you focus on. That's where your empowerment is in this 4D field. But when you're coming to these other places, it's a different ballgame. It's a very different ballgame. And you absolutely are holding the keys. Okay, you are holding the keys. So I don't feel like I'm abdicating my social responsibility by not paying attention to news and media, because I am on the front lines of this, all these pieces. So this is why I know all that stuff about interdimensional AITIs, because I'm experiencing it. You know, this is why I know about all this stuff in the dream time, because I'm going there and I'm working it. And once I shift things in dream time, the change is almost instant here in the now. Okay, so for me, this is the reality. It's not checking out. It's not like a spiritual life is separate from my everyday life. It's all interconnected and intertwined. Okay. And this is, you know, what a lot of humans do. They're like, oh, but, you know, yeah, that's the spiritual life, but here in the real world, right? Who said that? Right. So we multidimensionals are redefining what it is to be walking through this human experience. We're redefining it. We're breaking these constructs that are blinding us to the rest of the spectrum of who we think we are. Okay, so the need to be informed. Now you understand on another level what the need to be informed, the stuff that you're tuning in to inform yourself when it's coming through internet or media or whatever. Just know that you are looking at the 5%, let's say 5% of the reality that is all negative, right? So you're tuning in to find out what the negative stuff is, what the narrative is, what the control narrative is, stuff like that, just so you can maybe touch it. But if you're visiting it every single day, then you're taking that 5% of negativity, giving it your focus, and now that 5% negativity is now informing 80% of your mental emotional capacities. Okay. How many of you have been thinking about this all night? Okay. You see what I mean? So be mindful about this. This is something that as a sovereign being, you can choose to get involved with. I trust that if it's important, I will know. If someone will say something to me, and that's exactly how it works. If it's important, someone will call me, someone will send me a message, whatever. I'll get the news. Okay. And the cool thing is that the lens that I get the news from is from somebody who has a perspective of sharing the news because they want to inform me, not the perspective or the bias of sharing news because they want me to think a certain thing about something, which is what the media does. They slant facts so you will lean towards an attitude about something, right? All right. Mm-hmm. Hello, darling. Hello, darling Facebook user. Just so you know, your Facebook user, if you want me to see your name, you just need to hit there's a link that is above this live stream if you're on Facebook that you can click on, and that'll give StreamYard permission for me to see your name. Hello and welcome. All right, dear Sister Hodai says, we have a local journalist news reporter who actually has a segment called Show Me Something Good. It's not super important or that interesting, but she's trying to ground and balance not only herself, right, after days like yesterday, but bring something light to her viewers. Yes, very good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, and you know why it's not interesting? Because it's not getting that endocrine response. It's not getting the serotonin dopamine response that drama gives us. Okay, so do know that right. So this is an important thing to make sure you really have it integrated in your awareness, that there is a physiological endocrine system response to these narratives. All right, dear Facebook user says, if you want a new universe, speak a new verse. All the colors have changed in my manifesting is so beautiful, creating here like liquid neon light with iridescence. All right, I think that might be our dear brother Benjamin. Am I right? All right, let me keep going. All right, so the second thing, and actually you started to touch on this, the second reason why we tune in to toxic media that we know is slanted and biased, right, is because we feel like we are abdicating our civic duty. It's important for us to know what's going on. It's important for us to know the issues so we can be an informed voter, right? It's important for us to tune in to the artificial construct so we can show up for our community. You guys agree with that? You guys see what I mean by that? But here's the deal. You are tuning in to that negative, to that manipulated narrative to inform yourself, to come into your community and participate. So now you're not participating from the truth of your being, you're participating from this informed reality. You're stepping out of that helicopter and you're visiting the jet airliner for a minute, okay? So you can engage with your community. And this is backwards. There are communities that you can thrive in a community simply by participating and attending events, attending gatherings, and attending talks, attending this and that. There's things that you could be attending, and this is really how you connect within your community. This is how your community gets to know you. This is how you get to know your community. This is how we transcend racism, guys. People are afraid of other people because of their skin, because they don't know them. There's a lot of women that I know that are equally afraid of any man of any color, So just because they're a man, but as soon as they would know them, then they wouldn't be afraid of them anymore, right? So the ways we're trained that we have to engage are completely backwards. Once you go into a community and you get to know them and they get to know you, the barriers of the right, wrong, but the barriers of belief system and race will melt away. Will absolutely melt away. And one thing we need to keep in mind, if we're isolating things about race, then that makes everybody a racist, everybody a racist, because you're making it about race when really it's about humanness. You know what I mean? So it's like even that narrative is manipulated to keep it polarized, and you can't get out of the black or white, brown or yellow or whatever. You know what I mean? And it also mutes or stifles people's ability to really express what's happening for them. Okay. So when someone is talking about their suffering and their pain and they're sharing that, then, that's going to, for space holders, that's going to elicit people who listen to them, who connect with them, that hold space for them. But as soon as you make it about, making all black people responsible for that one guy that happened to be black that hurt you, or that one white lady that did something to you, you know what I mean? Now you're already making, you're pointing the finger, and you're in the expression of your pain, you're attacking another person because they look like the person that hurt you. You see what I mean? So it's like when you bust it down, lower the conversation into racism, it's like there's nowhere really to go. We need to figure out how to use a language to lift it up to our humanism, our human nature, And people say, oh, I'm just saying that because I'm white. You know what? That is racist. That in itself is racist. As soon as you look at me and now you think you know all about me, you know what I mean? And now I'm categorized and stereotyped. That's racism. I would be equally wrong if I were to look at some guy at the color of his skin and be like, oh, well, he's like that, that's ignorant. As soon as I get to know them, or they get to know me, or we get to know we, you know what I mean? As soon as you get to know somebody, you can really see their character. And quite frankly, there's assholes in every direction when it comes to, when it comes to humanity because of these blindness. It has nothing really to do with race. A lot of it has to do with circumstance, it has to do with circumstance, how you grew up, what kind of suffering you went through, the trials and tribulations of your life, the kinds of woundings that you had. All of us have woundings. All of us have trials and tribulations. You know what I mean? So now we're talking more soul to soul than turning it into a division like that, like with race. And I happen to know many people who are of color that have the whole spectrum of attitudes that I'm talking about. Some of them are very racist because they, I don't even know any white people. Some of them are like this, and some of them are extremely offended by, turning it into a race conversation. Some have experienced prejudice, some have not. Yes, there are people of the whole spectrum. So it's just because you're any particular race or ethnicity or whatever, it doesn't mean it's wrong to make that assumption that they're going to think this way. It's absolutely wrong. You have to get to know the person. Then you'll know. Then you'll know how they feel. I used to teach software in an inner school or an inner city redevelopment program. So they took people who from disadvantaged backgrounds, and we would teach them software so they can get good jobs, right? And I mean, the people that came in was all over. Some of them just would meet me and instantly hate me because I'm a white girl, and some were, they didn't care. So there was all sorts of ethnicities, and there was all kinds of blends. It was like this beautiful spectrum of backgrounds and cultures and all this stuff. And it was, because of that blend, it was, the ones who were making about race really stood out, and the ones that didn't, they succeeded. They did really well. And they did it because they weren't categorizing themselves and they weren't categorizing others. They were showing up and really being present and wanting to know you, getting to know you, wanting to learn, wanting to better themselves. You know what I mean? So anyway, let me keep going. All right, darlings. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, I have to get to the third thing. All right, so we have the need to be informed. Then we have the idea of abdicating your social responsibility. These are the three things we tell lies we tell ourselves on what to tune in. And then the other thing is that there's an idea that in some way that when we're tuning into the news, even if you tell yourself, it's not true, tuning into the news, we have the assumption that there's some element of truth in what we're tuning into. Okay. And it's not true. It's not true. Because the agenda of the people conveying the news to us has nothing to do with wanting us to know the truth. It has everything to do with feeding us the right information to sway us to one side or the other. Okay. They want to influence our thoughts and our attitudes. So there's this really great graphic that I've posted in the Rise group a few times, where it has a cylinder in the middle of the room. And when you look at the cylinder from this angle, it's a square, right? But if you look at the cylinder from this angle, it's a circle, right? So this is how the news is as well. It's not giving you the picture because they're not interested in you seeing the whole truth. They want you to see just that one angle. So one channel is going to give you the angle of it's a circle, and the other channel is going to give you the angle that's a square. There are no channels that I know of that actually give you the perspective to see that the shape is a cylinder. Okay. We assume, maybe this is wishful thinking why we do this, but we assume that when we tune in, we're going to get enough information that's actually going to convey the truth to us. We think that we're going to get enough. I have to say this again. We think we're going to get enough information that we will be able to discern the truth from whatever that report is. And the fact is that it's not true. It's not true. The people coming from this angle are only interested in providing the information that gives you the sense it's a circle. And the people from this angle are invested in giving you the information that it's a square. None of them are invested in letting you know enough information so you can figure out that it's a cylinder. Absolutely none of them. So the conspiracy people, the QAnon people, the mainstream media, all that stuff, none of them are giving you enough information for you to discern that what you're looking at is that cylinder. I hope this is landing for you guys. This is so important. So important, guys. Because this is really what I want to get to. There are other forces involved. This is not just human constructs and corporate technology. There's AI influences now involved. You know how earlier I said, nowadays there's a lot more happening in this 4D field than just thoughts, emotions, and belief systems. We have technological influences now in this 4D field via Wi-Fi and other electromagnetic influences from technology. Okay, this is a real thing. And here's the deal. There are subliminal sounds. There's subliminal sound waves that are in our air, that's in our environment here, that vibrates stuff in the inner ear that triggers that dopamine serotonin response that I was talking about earlier. Okay. Yes, this is so. I experienced this a lot when I was a child, actually, because from the ages of, like, I was a toddler to about 13, 14 years old. I was abducted pretty often, and they had these devices they used on me to, instantly, as soon as the device was aimed at me, they can make me feel whatever they wanted me to feel. If they wanted me to feel bliss, I'd feel bliss. If they wanted me to feel terror, I'd feel terror. Okay, and it was this frequency that it manipulated my nervous system to bring me that feeling. Okay, that technology is here. It has been here for a very long time, So, and the powers that be now have a really good working command of this technology now. So when we are tuning into the 4D and we're visiting those triggers, we're visiting those triggering news stories and thought forms, when we shut off the news and walk away, the influence does not stop. The influence does not stop. Okay, it continues on these interdimensional levels, and what happens is that we become a frequency match. The stuff that's more passive, the interdimensional interferences that's more in a passive way. Once we visit the drama, the outrage, and we have all this stuff going on, we're now a frequency match for those other interdimensional stuff, and now it's like a cloud that follows us. And I'm not saying this to freak you out, because there are things that I'm going to get to the solutions before we get over. Oh my gosh, time's flying by. I'll get to the solutions before I tune off. I promise. Okay, so this is exacerbating the situation. Those of us who are waking up with night sweats, there's this different kind of tone happening, ringing in the ears, right? You guys notice this? There's a whole nother level of tones happening in the on the tinnitus game. There's all these added influences that weren't here before that are super active right now. So we need to understand that all this stuff, for one, exists, but then understand what we can be doing to choose differently, to align our choices and the things that we can be doing to counteract all this infiltration and influence. It's oppressive. It's really oppressive. Now, the detoxing since the solstice is full force right now. So we are not only, because of that activation that happened inside of us, it was an inner activation that happened on that solstice. Because of that activation inside of us, we're detoxing. We're detoxing EMF. We're detoxing emotion. We're detoxing, strands from the karma paradigm. We're detoxing emotions. Thoughts, beliefs. We're detoxing out all these levels of our system. And the more we give ourselves the support multidimensionally for our bodies, the easier our body will have, the easier time our body will have in this detoxification process. But really, people are getting sick for a lot more reasons than just a virus. Okay, this is sad truth. Now, I'm going to mention this because this was something shocking to me. I just saw this a couple nights ago. My husband and I were just looking for, a movie. And our daughter has this account with Hulu, so she lets us piggyback on her thing sometimes. So we go into Hulu and we're looking for movies, and we started watching Johnny Mnemonic. Have you guys seen that movie from 1995 with Keanu Reeves? You might want to check that out because, oh my gosh, right? That movie in the first 5 minutes, all right, for one, it takes place January 16th, 2021. Okay. Keanu Reeves is the globe is in the midst of an information war. This movie came out in 95, guys. 2021, January 16th, the world is in amidst this information world. Espionage and corporate dominance is a major problem, and there's people protesting everywhere. Keanu Reeves gets out of his taxi into a group of protesters, all wearing masks, medical masks, protesting against, I think it was Pharmacom. Pharmacom was the name. So it was all about corporate big pharma. And the information was stolen from there. And there was an illness that plagued the planet. And this illness, this is still that movie, this illness that plagued the planet, right? All the population believed it was from shoddy implant work. It was like, all these corrupted practitioners, medical practitioners that were doing crappy work and harming people. And there's all these other reasons why people were suffering from this thing called NAS, which was like nervous. I can't remember what it stood for, but it affected about half the planet. And then as you get going into the movie, you guys remember Henry Rollins? He's in the movie. Yeah. I was totally a punkhead when I was younger. So yeah, Henry Rollins, right? So he plays this doctor named Spider that helps all the unfortunate people that aren't, that are, in the rejects of society and stuff that suffer from this illness. And what gets revealed is that the illness isn't a virus. It's not catchy, and they think it's catchy. That's, because of what the media and the corporations told their public. But really, he said, what's making everybody sick is the technology. We are inundated in technology, and the EMF fields of this technology is making everybody sick. Guys, this movie came out, reminder, 1995. Check it out. It's cheesy as hell. Ice-T is in it. And then, there's more that gets revealed. So Doug and I were watching this movie. We're just like looking at each other like, what the heck? Because I saw that movie a long, long time ago, but none of those details stayed with me. So we were really beside ourselves when we watched that, because it's quite literally the whole narrative was unfolding before us that we're living right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving on. How do you be in the world and not be a product of it? How do you maintain your sovereignty amongst all this? How do you not give yourself away? How to not dive into the disempowerment, right? So I had a lot of calls the past few days because people are really freaking out about the microchipping and all this stuff and the injection stuff. And I'm reminded of different experiences that I've had throughout my life. And one thing is, there are many different humans at different resonance, and humans are in different timelines. Us multidimensionals, we are on the timeline of the new earth. We really are. We feel it, we breathe it. When we're not plugged into the construct of reality, we're living and breathing it. It's here, right? But that's not where the majority of humanity is right now. So there's many different spectrums of timelines that are available. So there's that kind of thing. But I want to get more to the physical stuff. Your biosuit is a hyperdimensional vehicle, okay? It exists on all these dimensions. Your biosuit really exists on all these dimensions. So it's not just the gross anatomy that the medical system thinks it is. It's a lot more than that. And all of us who are involved in holistic healing, we know this. We've healed ourselves of ailments that that medical establishment, traditional Western medicine has no solutions for, right? Other than maybe surgery or something like this. And years ago, I had a problem with heavy metal poisoning. It happened, well, it came to a peak when I moved here to Colorado, but so it was slowly coming on, and then it peaked, and I suffered. It was like fatigue and lethargicness, and it was really bad. There was times when I couldn't get out of bed, and I eventually was talked into doing a Jasmine retreat, who's a breatharian, a dark room retreat with her in Thailand. And the precursor to that, I arrived a few days early. We're doing a lot of detoxing stuff, preparing, because when you're in dark room it's an 11-day retreat, but for 9 days and nights, you're in total darkness, and it's important, and you're not eating food while you're in there doing that. So it's important that you detox before you do this. So my intention was, I wanted to heal this problem that I had. I really wanted to heal my heavy metal poisoning. It was barium primarily. And what transpired was absolutely miraculous. And this does tie into the being in the world. It does tie into these pieces here. It's just going to take me a minute to tell the story. I happened to sit down at dinner, and this lovely Austrian woman that I sat next to just so happened to be one of the master Qigong practitioners trained by Mantak Chia. She studied with him, I think, for like 30 years or something like this. And so there's lots of these extraordinary people at dinner, and we're sharing about ourselves, what we do, all this stuff from all over the world. Every nationality you can imagine is there. 40 different countries of people were represented in our group. So, I shared about what I did, and she, it was really kind of funny because I was saying I accelerate people's abilities. I went one to blind spots, and she's like, how do you do that? And I'm like, so we were really intrigued with each other, and she said what she did, and she does Qigong healing, but she also helps people. She pulls out heavy metals from people's bodies. She helps people heal from heavy metal poisoning and radiation poisoning. And I was like, how do you do that? And she looks at me and she's like, I have no idea. And in that moment, when she said that, it was like time stood still, and I can feel it. Our spirits were just going back and forth. There was this transmission happening between my spirit and hers. And then we continued. Then time started moving forward again. We finished dinner. It was beautiful. And I go to my room. That night, I was awoke in the middle of the night, and the Telerik Realm opened. And it was a really profound experience. And ultimately what happened, I have no idea how long I was there while it was going on, but ultimately what happened was that all the heavy metals got pulled out of my body. It was very, very intense, because what I realized, that radiation in the body also is tied to holding on to certain emotional experiences. And the emotional experiences that it was holding on into within me was the feeling of unjustness. Okay. All sorts of injustices. And then part of the darkroom experience was they do blood work to, watch your levels and stuff like that. And the very first thing the gentleman told me after pulling my blood was like, you do not have heavy metal poisoning or you have no heavy metals. That's what he said, no heavy metals in your blood. And he was saying that, he remarked, because it was actually unusual, because usually everybody has some kind of heavy metal in their blood. And I didn't tell anybody that I was there for radiation and that heavy metal release. I didn't tell anybody that. He just, was someone that analyzes blood, and and he sits with you and tells you his report before and after the retreat. So the first thing he tells me, that I have no heavy metals in my blood. So that confirmed for me my experience. Now, fast forward this into the whole injection thing. Our biosuits, Telerik Realm, has an intelligence. It's multidimensional. It has an intelligence. Our bodies will reject things. Okay. You have a kidney transplant, it can reject the kidney. Put something in your body and it doesn't want it, it can reject it. You can puke it, you can poop it out, whatever. When your body decides to reject something, it's like it's really powerful. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Our bodies have the ability to reject things. There are people who've had ET implants put in them, and then they shift their frequency and heal, and their body will reject the implant, and it'll actually come out of their ear or their nose, or, it'll come out of some sort of orifice. Our body has this ability. Just like it has the, the immune system to keep your energy strong, right? Our body has the ability to decide what can be in the body and what can't be in the body. Our physical body can do that. And as we strengthen our energy field, as we heal our emotional trauma dramas, as we heal those aspects in our akasha, as we become stronger and more of our quantum and life force energy comes to us in the here and now, the stronger our body gets, the more capable your body is able to reject. So it's not only rejecting technology, but you can also shut down EMF fields that are around you. You can make yourself impermeable to EMF. You can make yourself impermeable to those interdimensional sound frequencies that trigger the endocrine system response. You can have your energy field strengthened where you're minimally affected by the kinds of influences that are coming through the technology. This is real. We have this ability. What's happening here is that the bar is being lifted. It's being really raised on what we need to be doing for ourselves to maintain our sovereignty on a multidimensional level. Okay, so just know this. There's a lot more to this reality than most people believe. You don't have to buy into what those other people believe. You have your healing experiences. You have your healing stories. You have who you are, this compass. Rely on this 100%, and you're going to navigate this field. So when it comes to being in the world and not of it, this means that you are maintaining your vibration, you're maintaining your sovereignty while you're interacting with these beings, while you're interacting with your community. Okay? You are choosing what deserves your bandwidth. You are choosing the constructs that you engage with and not engage with. When you give your power away, that is you no longer standing in your sovereignty. You're giving into something. Usually we give into something so we can get something. That's usually how that works. Okay. And that's really how they're that's the plan of how to force the injections is if you want to fly, you're going to have to do that. Right? If you want to work at this business, then you're going to have to do that. Now, you have a choice to get involved with that or not. We may go when we're on the playing field, when we're on the disempowerment playing field, we won't see that choice. We won't feel that choice. But when we're past this lens and we're working with these other levels, the choice becomes really, really clear. Okay? Choose to know your spirit. Choose to work with your dreams. As you do that, more and this field is going to melt away more and more and more. And then you're going to recognize in the moment where your empowerment is, where your empowered relationship with certain things are. Okay. It's going to reveal to you more and more and more. All right. I'm going to go ahead and visit some of the comments here. There's some good stuff coming in, I think. Please let me know if this is making sense what I'm saying. And, a lot of the stuff that I talk about used to be only for the monastics that live, the guru, the yogi that lives off in the mountain or in the cave or something like that. But that paradigm has been shattered. It's not like that anymore. All of those teachings and all of those transmissions and all of those potentials are available for us, the homemakers now. It's been like that for a couple decades. So that explosion that released all the mystery school teachings to everybody who has the eyes to see, that was all synchronistic to what's unfolding. Many of us have been doing this for decades, and we know our experiences. We know that we can heal. We know that we can claim ourselves. We know all these things. We just sometimes need reminded, just because we're in a ocean of energy of people who don't buy into that, who don't believe it and don't feed it. All right, let's get in here. All right. Yeah, the system busters. A new archetype arises. Woohoo. Yeah, right. The system busters. Awesome. All right. Hodai says we have a local. Oh, sorry. I guess I already read that. Didn't realize. Hold on, let me keep scrolling down here. Okay, if you want to, okay, yes, right. So without those chemical responses, it's important to focus on gratitude. Yes, gratitude does have an endocrine system response. That's a very good suggestion. Thank you, Hodai. And Gratitude opens the heart. It opens us to who we are beyond our face in a lot of ways. And you'll notice that the more you gravitate away from being grateful for a certain thing and start moving towards being grateful for just being, okay, you're opening the gateways more to your infinite self. Sometimes we need that one thing to focus on to get tuned into the gratitude, but as that grows within us and shifts away from that thing and turns into just being, gratitude for just being, and that's an important shift for, in our frequency, because it's taking us more, it's opening us more into the, it's beyond this 4D and into these other levels, because your heart needs to be open in order to connect with these other levels. And it's difficult to know your pain and your love at the same time. It takes a lot of practice and it takes a commitment. All right. This morning I put out a Facebook post about not freaking out. Don't get mixed in the US stuff in so many words. Does that mean I am participating in it? No, actually, Carol, that's the same thing I did. It's like, guys, this is meant to trigger you. And so really you're putting out your idea, right? Participating in it is when someone responds and, does some kind of jab at you on what's wrong with you for having that idea. And then once you choose to tango with that, now you're participating in it, right? So you're just speaking your truth as you know. It's like, guys, come on, wake up. And that's all you can do. As soon as you get into the fight over it, now you're participating. You see what I mean? There's a little bit of difference. You're just, in your broadcast radiance, but as soon as that tango happens, now there's mental, emotional energy like this happening. All right. And it says meetings of souls and not by chance. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is why I love NYC. Everyone is here. Okay. I think Polly's talking about the eclectic environment, the eclectic community from all different kinds of races and ethnic backgrounds. Yeah, me too. I enjoy the mix. I really do. And what moving here to Colorado was a culture shock for me, because it's like white bread heaven here, or heaven haven, white bread haven here. You know what I mean? And where I came from, it was like I was usually the only white girl in the store. Anywhere I went anywhere, it was like I was definitely the minority, and I didn't mind it. It was all fine. And moving here, it was just like, and really, white culture is very homogenized. It's really fake, and it's just not interesting. I really like that eclecticness and the juice and the difference of how people be. It's really nice. All right. Then Facebook user says, I've tried to subscribe to your website and my application is being rejected. Is there a procedure to do this? I suddenly developed tinnitus 3 months ago with reoccurring strange symptoms that feel maybe flu-like. Yes, absolutely. Except that I have only had the flu once in my 73 years, which was in 1968. Good for you, the Hong Kong flu. I never get sick, and I know I shouldn't be feeling like this because my body is really fit. My son and daughter have been talking about all these for years, so I'm very open to what is. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so this detox stuff, I don't know when you joined in, darling, but I was talking about, there's a lot of detox happening, and it does feel like the flu, and the detox is happening from that inner activation from the solstice, and, well, more than that, but that's one of the big pieces. So our bodies have to adjust to this new frequency that's emerging from within us, and it does look like detoxing. My body temperature has not been well regulated. I go from hot to cold. I have cold sweats. I have headaches that feel like detoxing headaches. So I'm definitely with you on the detoxing symptoms. I don't get sick either. I just don't. And so it's really unusual for me. So one of the things I do, and I promote this because I just love this machine so much. There's something called the Chi machine. If you're in the States, I can hook you up with it. And if you're not, there's other places that you can look. It's the Sun Ancon brand Chi machine. There was a mad genius that created it many years ago, a Japanese scientist. And I love, love, love that device. I use it all the time. And that's been really helping me with my detox symptoms. That's why I'm saying that, because it's been like making it, I feel like it would be a lot more rocky if I wasn't able to be assisted, supported, my process be supported by this device. All right, then another Facebook user. I use my fourth eye, the sonar. You can turn things off and on, sonar through the third eye, through the heart space, and growing without drama. Instead, I now plant a beautiful lesson, trees of cultivating truth, fruit. The life lessons are so much more fun now. Okay, so our dear brother here got liberated when his fourth eye opened in the sonar, which is, you guys know what sonar is, and that kind of ability came online for him. Woohoo! Good job. All right, dear dear Polly says, I ran from white bread. I don't blame you, darling. Oh my gosh. Awesome, awesome. Okay, guys. So being in the world and not of it. Knowing where your relation, that you are in charge of a relationship to these disempowerment games. It's going to get more intense because people need to wake up to it. Just because it's happening does not mean you need to be involved. I mean, if your heart takes you there, of course, follow your heart, but you don't need to be involved. If you are really, it's an option. It's not a necessity. You can support people from where you're at. People benefit more by you living the truth of your authentic frequency than you joining the fight. Okay. Now, like I said, if your heart says join the fight, then of course follow that, but it's not necessary. I'm a spiritual warrior myself, and I go into some shit, believe me, y'all that are in the academy, So it's like, because I rather engage stuff on these levels than on that disempowerment playing field. I get so much more out of that. And the feedback loop that happens is absolutely astonishing. So when things are coming through my dream time and I'm working with that energy, when it finally gets unraveled, I see an instant feedback loop in this reality when that happens. So without a doubt, in my world, I know I'm dreaming this world into being. I know I'm participating on that level. I've reclaimed my dream time. And so have you guys. You guys in the Lightbody Academy, you are reclaiming your dream time, and those same abilities are coming online for you. So there's quite literally an army of us doing this. So we're not alone. We don't have to tow all the weight. We just do our little part of it. We take care of our part of the community, and that's all we need to do. Yeah. All right. Laurel says, I would like to also sing the benefits of the chi machine, especially when you get outside. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. So Laurel's backing me up on that. Thank you, darling. And Joanne, and having grandchildren who each have 10 to 12 ethnicities, very rich. Oh, cool. Okay. Whew. All right, darlings. I hope that we were able to end this on an empowering note, and you guys now recognize where in the spectrum is right for you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Christina with Lightbody Academy. We are here every Thursday at noon. If you're interested in the kinds of things that we're doing in the Academy, you can visit lightbodyacademy.com, and you can see the different offerings that we offer. Let's see. Yes, I guess that's it. Thank you. I will see you guys next time. Bye. Adios.